What are childhood risky behaviours? Let's take a look. Risky behaviours in childhood are any type of behaviour that puts the child or others at risk of harm. There's lots of different types of risky behaviour, but first of all, let's look at what a risky behaviour actually is.
Risky behaviour is defined as any action that puts someone at risk of present or future negative consequences. This means the behaviour puts the child or others at risk of something happening now, like them being physically hurt, or the behaviour puts them at risk of something happening in the future, such as their health being harmed because of the behaviour.
In the two examples shown, the first example was hitting out at others. Now, hitting out at others is something that most children do at some point during their childhood. We as adults will guide them and direct them and tell them what they should be doing instead, and usually that hitting stops. This is really typical behaviour. Where it becomes risky behaviour is where the hitting becomes prolonged, or it becomes intensified, or it doesn't seem to be easing at all. In those circumstances, that type of behaviour can cause a risk to the child of getting hurt, it can cause a risk to others of getting hurt, and there's also a wider risk of things like social isolation.
In the second example shown, the risky behaviour was smoking and drinking. This behaviour has both an immediate health risk and a wider risk that we need to consider. What wider impact will this have on the child or young person?
When we think about risky behaviour, it's important to think about the immediate, the wider, and the longer term risks.
So risky behaviour is any behaviour that puts the child or others at risk of immediate or future negative consequences. There are lots of types of risky behaviour, and it's important to remember that children may engage in them for many reasons. More often than not, they're not trying to put themselves at risk. Their behaviour is a result of some unmet need. We see this often when supporting children, and I talk about it more in our childhood trauma videos.
One of the important things to remember about risky behaviour is that the risk isn't always just from the apparent immediate risk. There can be much wider and longer term impacts that we need to consider.
For example, a risky behaviour could have a wider or longer term impact on things like health, development, social inclusion, education, mental health, and much, much more.
That's why one of the things we always explore in Tribe Trauma-Informed Care is the wider impact of risk, so we can really understand it and provide the right support at the right time. So that's risky behaviour. We've also got another video on the 5 really common types of risky behaviour that we see from children who've had adverse childhood experiences. But before that, here's one final trauma-informed care top tip. Children who've had adverse childhood experiences often display risky behaviours. These behaviours are often linked to their background experiences, even if those experiences were a really long time ago. Trauma-informed care is all about understanding those experiences and considering how they're impacting on the child's behaviour today. That's the first step to being trauma-informed, and what we would recommend if you are dealing with or managing any risky behaviours from your child or a child you're supporting. Here's the video link I promised, and don't forget to subscribe to Tribe for trauma-informed care in practice.